Iat she'e Cleobra Begay in Asia. My educational journey didn't begin at the University of Arizona. It began with my grandma, who believed that Navajo children deserved a future. In 1967, my grandmother, Mrs. Blanche Bazahalani Begay, developed a bilingual home economics booklet at Northern Arizona University to help families in Pinon, Arizona understand the importance of early childhood education. She wrote in both Dinepazad and English because teaching isn't just information. It is relationship, it is care, it is responsibility. She was not trying to change students, she was trying to support families, build trust, and make education culturally safe. And that is exactly what Native SOAR continues to do today. This semester, I learned that mentorship is not a role, it is a relationship. Through Native SOAR, I mentored high school students from Tucson High Magnet School. And at first, some of them didn't believe their path included going to college. But when we approach education through storytelling, culture, and dignity, something shifted. They began to see themselves in higher education, not as guests, but as rightful participants. That experience showed me that Native SOAR is not simply a program. It is a continuation of the values Indigenous educators like my grandmother and leaders like Felicia, Myrea, and Kaylee practice every day. The 4 senses in Chris Nelson and Natalie R. Youngbull's article are not just academic terms. They are teachings already present in Navajo and other Indigenous ways of living. 1. Indigenous ways of knowing. Education must honor land, language, family, and community. 2. Sense of relationship. Mentorship is built on trust, not hierarchy. Students must feel seen, not managed. 3. Sense of community. Students do not move alone. They carry their ancestors with them. And in Native SOAR, we carry each other, mentors, mentees, and peers, creating a community that refuses to let anyone be left behind. 4. Sense of power. Power is not dominance. It is responsibility. It is the ripple effect of how our actions impact students, communities, and generations to come. Through Native SOAR, I learned that mentorship isn't only about navigating college. It is about building a relational pathway to education, grounded in identity, reciprocity, and belonging. And because I've learned what true relational leadership looks like, I can recognize when it's missing. But walking through these values also made me recognize the places where the University of Arizona falls short. Drawing from Nelson and Youngbull's 4 senses, I see a clear disconnect between Indigenous frameworks and how our university's Native serving offices currently operate. An Indigenous way of knowing is not simply information. It is knowledge that grows through relationships with people, land, and with community. And yet, at the February 2025 Tribal Leadership Summit, the conduct of the current Native American Initiative's Assistant Vice Provost and Native American Advancement and Tribal Engagement Special Advisor reflected none of this. Instead of relational leadership, they leaned on positional authority. Instead of humility, they relied on intimidation. Instead of building trust, they created fear. As Indigenous community members, we are taught relationality, listening, and community accountability, especially when concerns arise that directly affect Native students and tribes. The recent removal of language from the University of Arizona's land acknowledgement, without the consent of Arizona's 22 federally recognized tribes, is one example of this erasure. Both NATE and NAI AVP could benefit from a course like Native SOAR, where leadership begins with respect, humility, and service. I find it unfathomable, as I reflect on that day, that administrators meant to represent us presented themselves in such a crass and dismissive way. Their attempt to intimidate 2 Indigenous women scholars at an event intended to foster dialogue on Native nation building was not only infuriating but deeply disappointing. A sense of power they displayed was the opposite of what we learn in native SOAR. In SOAR, power is responsibility, the knowledge that our actions ripple outward, shaping our mentees and our communities. But what they demonstrated was power as control, not care. As scholar Teresa Stewart Ambo reminds us, universities often claim diversity and engagement, but fail to build real accountable relationships with Native nations. What I witnessed was exactly that, performance, not practice. These offices have become symbols of performative inclusion, breadcrumbing Native scholars while refusing to dismantle the very barriers their offices were created to address. Despite the challenges, I choose to respond with responsibility and solutions, not resentment alone, because I realized something this semester. Our work is intergenerational. My grandmother helped open the schoolhouse door. Native SOAR helped me walk through it. And now, I help keep it open for others. If the University of Arizona truly wants to honor its commitments to Native students, it must begin where Native SOAR begins, with relationships, with humility, with listening, with community, and with care. This is not just good policy or best practice. These are indigenous ways of living, loving, and teaching. That is Native SOAR. And that is how we build futures worthy of our students and worthy of our ancestors. My grandma began the work in 1967. I continue it today, and I will not be the last. Yet.